Hey, Shalom Hashem. I want to start off as always by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadosh, that belongs to the apostles of GMS and honesty, brothers doing work the most on truth and in sincerity. This is a quick one. This is from this video here. This is mediocre tutorials and reviews on YouTube, and it's basically going over that debate that Kevin Samuels had with these feminists that you see in the bottom right of your screen there, right? And it was basically breaking down some of the psychological techniques that Kevin Samuels uses when he's basically dealing with these women. Which, there are certain tidbits in there that are good to know. But one thing that was noticeable for me was these are some of the things that we, in this truth do naturally, right? When people come up to the camp, scoffers or whatever, what have you, and basically we'll be able to deal with them a certain way, not getting pulled down. Not saying that, we're always perfect at that, right? But, there are certain techniques that these women use that these scoffers use as well, right? Trying to make you go down arguments that you're not trying to have, deflecting this, that, and the other. All right, and once again, that's, there's certain techniques in there, psychological things that this gentleman on the left, picks up, right, and brings to attention. Right, but the thing for me that reads that's inspiring this video is he basically is referring to Kevin at near the end of the video, and he's basically saying, the reason why he was able to execute what he said so eloquently was the fact that he had prepared, right? He said basically he prepared and he studies, and he basically contrasted how Kevin is now to how Kevin used to be 4 years ago. Now, I've not watched, a lot of either. In fact, I've not watched any old videos, and not too many current videos. But basically, he was basically saying that the difference is stark. Why? Because in that time, Kevin has been preparing and Kevin has been studying, and I was just there like, yo, that's that's like what we are supposed to be doing, right? When we go out there, we've got to be prepared, right? Why? Because when people come up, the scriptures say this, right? This is I'll grab this one first, right? This is First Peter 3:15. But sanctify the Lord power in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear, right? So we're supposed to know these scriptures such that, someone, comes up and asks us a question, that we are able to answer said question, right? Let me grab this while I remember, whilst it's still hot on the press. Right, this is 1 John 2:20. But ye have an unction from the Holy One, from the Holy One, and you know all things. Look up this, which called unction, charisma, anything smeared on unguent ointment. Interesting. Usually prepared by the Hebrew from oils and aromatic herbs, anointing. Right, so basically, like, but you have a blessing, almost like an anointing almost from the Holy One, and you know all things, right? And this is where where we aim to be, right? When we come to it, where we as camp, right, Great Millstone, we have 100% truth. Okay, why? Because ultimately, how can you trust a man that will confidently come out and say he only has 99% truth, right? You look at IUIC, for example, right, which they, for the most part, right, teach similarly to how we teach. However, they go off on some of the most important things, right? They go off on some of the most important things that are pertinent to your salvation, right? So if their doctrine was 100% the same as ours, but said, oh, the mark of the, but said, like they say, the mark of the beast isn't the RFID microchip, which the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip, right? But let's say they said that was the only difference that they had with Great Millstone. Guess what? You go out and take that. Guess what? Now you're gonna be destroyed, right? Or let's say they believe that the mark of the beast was the microchip, but look at it, they don't have the name of the Lord, right? And you read Acts 4:12, scripture says that, that is the name whereby we must be saved. Okay, so as a camp, we know all things, right? But hey, we've got to, be studied out to a point whereby if someone asks us a question, we have to give them a question, But so we have to give him an answer, sorry. Right. And yeah, there'll be times, especially, the newer you are in the truth, where you just have to be honest and say, look, I don't have the answer right now, right? But let me inquire of my teachers to give you an answer, because the scriptures talk about forgot the exact wording, being presumptuous, just saying things for saying things sake. That's what these Christians do, man. Right? We can't be presumptuous. We always have to speak the truth, right, as the scriptures say. Okay, because at the end of the day, we are ambassadors of Yahweh Shai. Right, so let me read that again. First Peter 3:15. But sanctify the Lord power in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. Okay, so that's what we have to do. We have to study. We have to be prepared. Okay, we have to be prepared, because you never know. You never know. I mean, that's the thing. When you're out there on the streets and the highways and byways, you never know what is going to be asked of you. And that's one of the beauties of the body, because hey, someone might bring up a thing, in this world's realm of science, and that may not be your strong point in this world's realm of science, right? And you might have someone, one of the Arkim, that's more into that particular thing, and they're able to answer that question, whatever have you, right? But when it comes to these scriptures, we really supposed to know, know it all. Right? Apostle Taha, saying a couple of weeks ago, basically you got to know all of these scriptures when you're going out there to teach. Okay. So 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, and this one is once again very very pertinent to the topic, because in this video he's like I said at the end, when you watch, he's saying a lot. It's like, yeah, he studied and he was prepared. Okay, and he was basically almost marveling at that and saying, what was he marveling? Basically, he was saying, people might watch it and marvel, how does he know so much? And he was like, look, he didn't start at that point. Right? He said he didn't start at that point. Just like when we first came in, guess what? We was going over the milk, right? We was going over the milk because we couldn't chew on the meat. Right? This is first Corinthians 3. Right, it says, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Yahushai. I fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto you were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. Right, and this is going into the fact that there is a growing process in this thing of ours. Okay, so when you first come in, you ain't gonna be, none of us just went straight to the meat, and it's likened unto a baby. You feed a baby meat, and baby hasn't even got teeth to chew the meat. Okay, and then Paul then went on and explained himself. For ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men? Right? So basically, Paul here was saying, like, look, man, you can't even, you're still, envying and strife and divided, right? And you're carnal, right? Basically, so he said, still envying, you're striving, and you've got divisions among you. Like, that's what carnal people do. It's just like, how am I going to get into deep, meaty subjects when you're still doing these basic entry level things? Okay, so it takes a process for you, when we first come into this thing to grow to a point where we're able to chew on certain meats. Okay, it says so yeah, let me read again. 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. This is first. No, we read that. 1 Timothy 4:13 to the end. It says, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. Right? We look at this word here, attendance, right? To bring near, right? To turn the mind, to attend, to attentive, to attend to oneself, giving attention, to take heed, right? So basically to meditate on a particular thing. Okay. So it says, until I come, right? Meditate to reading, right? And once again, you look in this word here, reading, it's like knowing, right? So, to like come, meditate, reading with the intent of understanding and knowing, right, to exhortation, to doctrine. Okay, it says, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery. Right, we all have a gift, right, that we've been given by our Hashem Yahshua. We can't make light of those gifts. Okay, we've got to use those talents and flip it. Lest Yahweh visits us. If verse 15 says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. Right, so meditate on these things, right? And that's it. We've got to live, breathe, and eat this, right? Hey, that's one of the things if I'm remembering correctly, that Kevin says in this, right? Basically saying like, or this guy, one of them, basically saying like this, he's been basically doing this day in, day out, day in, day out, right? So he's sharp on particular things, just like we have to be doing this in, day out, right? And I'm pretty sure for the large majority of us, we think something about the scriptures every day, right? Whether we might see simple things, you might see a nice looking bum, right? And then you see, a ring on the finger, and you're like, oh shit, she's married. That's adultery. Let me start looking, right? That things like that. That is as being in the having these scriptures on mind, right? Because this thing of ours isn't about being a Saturday Israelite, man. We're going to be in this holy, man. Okay. As take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine, continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. Okay, so we got to do the works, because faith without works is dead. Okay, it says, Sirach 6:37, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desires. Right, so we have once again have to meditate continually, right, in these commandments, in these scriptures, right. And last one is Sirach 39. Start from the top. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. So one of the things we're going to be reading, one of the things that we have to be doing is what we have to be watching and praying. And in watching, we're able to really look and see, like, look, man, hey, this man's done. Right, not just watching what he tells you to watch, because that's what everyone else in the world does, and that's why they think that this, their version of normality will return. That's done. It's done. It's finished. Right now, we hope that the Lord will, sign, seal, right, and package this kingdom into history, right, this year, right. But hey, one thing we know for sure is we are in the end times. It's not, there ain't no, many years left. This is the very end, right, of this man's kingdom. Right? It's the very end of this man's kingdom. Okay. And we're able to do that by being occupied in prophecy, seeing certain things, seeing events that have not happened in their entire, in hundreds of years. You had the alignment end of last year, right? This Iceland volcano, first time, so I forget exactly the exact, but you're talking about thousands of years. Around the earliest stat, there was like 800 years or something like that. Okay, so we're getting up to the close of the end of this man's kingdom. Okay, verse 2 says, he will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where two subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. As we'll be seeking it. But just like, once again, this man here, right, Kevin, he will be doing his due diligence. He'll be doing his research into, this statistic, that statistic, right? He'll be looking into and sharpening his knowledge on those things, because that is what he's been set up to, Remember one of the Akim was saying he's just been set up to slay, to slay these hoes, man. Right? This verse 4 says, He shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through the strange countries, for he hath tried the good and evil among men. He will give his heart to resort early to the Lord that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth and pray and make supplication for his sins. Right? When the great Lord will, he shall be filled with the spirit of understanding, right? Because it's the Most High that giveth, right? Um, so it says, He shall pour out wise sentences to give thanks unto the Lord in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel and knowledge, and in his secrets shall he meditate. Right? So we'll be meditating in these secrets, in the dark sayings, right? And in the scriptures, and the things that are to come, right? So yeah, this has been Prepare. And yeah, as always, Lord's Wood, I was edifying. Till next time, we say Shalom.